Welcome to the Tiffany Micah podcast. What we do here is build the belief in you to accomplish your dreams in your sport. I'll be your mentor and give you the skills, strategies and guidance to make it happen. Dream big, believe in you and go after your dreams. Now let's get into today's episode. Hey there, Tiff here and welcome to Tiffany Micah podcast. Awesome to have you here. Well, I haven't talked much about goals this year, and the reason for that was that I hadn't really set any goals earlier in the year. And to be honest, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to accomplish anymore. And I felt really lost. And if you'd been listening to my episodes over the last number of years, you would have heard me talk about turning 50 last year and lessons learned that I learned in turning 50 and all of that kind of thing. And so when I got to that age of the big 50, which I was absolutely dreading, I must admit, I went through a whole process. And initially it was the fact that I felt like I hadn't accomplished all the things that I wanted to accomplish by the time I turned 50. So therefore I felt really disappointed. I felt sadness and disappointment with the world that I could see. And that's I found that time really, really difficult to deal with. I can remember the age of being 45 and going up to heading towards 50, going, oh my God, I'm going to be 50 in 5 years. Get to 46, oh, I'm going to be 50 in 4 years. You know, big dread, because there was a lot of things that I wanted to accomplish and I was putting more and more pressure on myself. And I hadn't, by the time I then turned 50, I felt like, well, I hadn't accomplished those. So during that time too, my hubby kept telling me, you know, you've accomplished so much. You've been a tennis player, a coach, you've been successful in teaching tennis and a sports skills business, and you're a golf player, you're a golf coach, you're successful in teaching that as well, and you can play any sport that you put your hand to, and, you know, you can do all these great things. But the thing was like all I saw was failure and disappointment, because I couldn't see what my hubby could see. I couldn't see what other people were telling me I could see. And to turn a long story into a short story, because I could talk about this for a long time, only to help you, but I won't bore you, is that the world is a mirror of what you see. So the world that I saw at that time was failure and disappointment. I didn't like the world I saw, and I knew that I had to change it. And that was a big process that I had been going through all late last year. And also even through this year, especially the first, I would say up until at least May this year, trying to figure some stuff out. And by me going through this process, I didn't set any goals this year. And it's been the first time that I've never worked towards anything. And I also looked at changing my future. I wasn't prepared to share this with anyone at the time while I was going through this, but I was looking at changing my future. I actually applied to the Defence Force to join the Air Force, which was what I really wanted to do. I've always wanted to join the Defence Force, and I thought, all right, well, let's do it now. They're still accepting people at the age of 50. Let's do it. I spoke to a career counsellor, which she's not really a career counsellor, but that's, I guess, best way to describe it. But she helped me get really clear about my strengths and what types of working environments I'd prefer. And so I was going through this big process, and I couldn't share it with you because I found it too hard to talk about. Because I'm on the other side of it now, it's much easier for me to talk about it. But as I was going through this process, it was really challenging road for me because I didn't know what the future was going to bring. I didn't know where I was going to head. I didn't know what I was going to do. But now here I am on the other side of working through all these things. You know, I want to be that mentor to you that I initially wanted to be when I first started these podcast episodes. I wanted to be here for you. I've been building an online golf store, so I want to be able to build it up so it's worth, so it's worth millions, and to be able to sell it in the future and generate a lot of sales out of that. So that's what I've been working on. I've been teaching a lot of golf, which has been really exciting, and a lot more tennis, which has been really exciting. Been really enjoying that, and getting back into golf tours as well. So there's been quite a bit on the plate that I've been working towards and working on, but I'm also here. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to help you and take our next steps forward. So all I can say is happy to be back. We are going to go through a period right now here in Sydney, where I live here in Sydney, Australia, where we're going into a lockdown process again. I know that a lot of countries have been going through that again in the Northern Hemisphere early in the year, so it looks like it's our turn to go through that. But we never have to stop working towards our goals. So today what I want you to be doing is stopping what you're doing and reflecting. Here we are halfway through the year, and I want you to see where you're at. And in this episode that we'll have following this one, we will then set some goals for the rest of the year. We'll do it in a simple way so it's much easier to do that. I know sometimes in the past when I've done goal setting with you, it's been very, very detailed, which is great, but I want to make things very simple for you and easy for you to get on with it, because sometimes we can get caught up in too much detail and just feel exhausted about all the things that we have to do. So I don't want you to feel like you have to rush through this process either. I want you to give yourself a breather, give yourself some recovery time, and then we'll reset. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to work through what I will call our recovery period, and this is actually reflecting on the last 6 months and what's happened. And so I've got a few questions here that I'm going to get you to work on. So question 1 is, what are the lessons you have learnt over the last 6 months? So the lessons that you've learned, I want you to detail what the good lessons that you've learnt, and also the challenging lessons, because again, this is, we always want to be learning from what works well and what doesn't work well. And so I want you to look at the good and also the ones that have been most challenging for you. Question number 2 is, what has worked well these past 6 months? So I want you to be looking at what has worked well. What are the things that you've done? And you'll be able to gauge that from that first question anyway, from the lessons that you've learnt. So what are the things that have worked really well for you, that have helped you accomplish or get you to the point where you are right now? I can say with me, the things that have worked really well for me is just going through this process that I've been going through over the last number of months in helping me set my path of where I want to go for the future, because it's been, quite a process for nearly 12 months now, and it's nice to be on the other side of it, to be quite honest. So I want you to look at what has worked well for you in these past 6 months. Number 3, what has not worked well in the past 6 months? Again, you can refer back to question 1, the challenging areas, but have a look, what hasn't worked so well for you? Itemize it, be clear on what it is, so that you know that there's certain areas that hasn't worked very well for you, and it gives you it's a good way for you to see it on paper, because you get it out of your head, and that's the most important thing. We want to get stuff out of your head. Question number 4. Have you achieved your goals for these 6 months? So if you have, write down what the goal was and write down how you've achieved it. If it's no, the answer is no, write down why you haven't achieved it, so that you're aware, because it's all going to help us in planning for the next episode especially. And question number 5 will be, what's next? So what do you have to do next to achieve those goals that you haven't achieved? Or there may be some new goals that you want to pursue. I want you to lay them all out here in this question about what's next. And then we can meet next time and we will set you on the path for the rest of the year. So I want to give you the time to be able to work through this to get yourself ready to reset yourself for the rest of the year. Okay. So the questions are, again, what are the lessons that you've learned over the last 6 months? What the good ones are and the challenging ones are. Number 2, what has worked well for the past 6 months? Number 3, what has not worked well for the past 6 months? Number 4, have you achieved your goals for the last 6 months? Yes, how? No, why not? And number 5, what's next? So write out everything that you got to do of what you're going to do for next so you can prepare for our next episode. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Love it if you could share with me what you like best about what you heard today. Remember, this is our recovery. We're reflecting on the last 6 months. So get out there and do that. Share this episode with friends if you know that they will benefit from these episodes. And I want you to dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams. Take care. Talk soon. Before you go, do you want to build confidence, belief, strength, and courage in you to go after your big dreams in your life and in your sport? If you do, go to www.tiffany-mika.com and get a copy of my book, Focus, How to Reach Your Potential in Sport, Business and Life. I look forward to seeing you there. Dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams.